Hello, I'm Ollie and this is CriminOlly, where I talk about crime, pulp, horror, that kind of thing. Today I'm going to talk about all the things I do with books when I'm not reading them. I'm doing the finish the book tag. So this is a book tag that was created a few years ago. I'm not sure even who created it. I think their channel perhaps isn't active anymore. If you don't know what a tag is, it's basically a series of questions that we creators on BookTube ask each other to just kind of discuss books and things like that in a different way. So I don't think I was tagged in this video by anybody. I'm terrible at noticing when I get tagged in videos. I'm really bad at it. I need to kind of build it into my daily routine to check because I think I miss quite a lot of them. So apologies if you have tagged me in anything and I haven't done it. So yes, I don't think I've been tagged in this one, but I've seen a bunch of people do it recently. So MJ at Reading This Live did it. Crystal at Fibre Artsy did it. Who else has done it? Brandy at the Book Eclectic did it. All great channels. I will try and remember to link them in the description. So yeah, a few people have done it recently, and it's got some quite interesting questions that are a bit different from some of the questions you normally get in these things. So there are 7 questions. I will go through those with you now and answer them. Simple. Okay, so first question is, do you keep a list of the books you have read? So yes, I do on Goodreads. And I do, since I started the channel, I do also have a spreadsheet that I keep track of things on as well. But Goodreads is kind of my go-to, and I've been using Goodreads for a good few years now. I did try Storygraph, which is like an alternative to Goodreads, which is superior to Goodreads in many ways, in fact probably in most ways. But I found that because I'm so used to using Goodreads, and using Storygraph was like another thing to remember to do, I've just kind of stuck with Goodreads. The other thing that's great about Goodreads is if you're a Kindle user is that because they're owned by Amazon, you've got it synchronizes with your Kindle, so you can automatically, as soon as you start a book on your Kindle, you can just click a button and it will register it on Goodreads as a book you're reading. So yes, Goodreads is the main place I do keep track, but as I say, I do have a spreadsheet I use as well, which I have shown on the channel before, which is very nerdy. So second question then is, what stats do you record? So I guess on Goodreads I'll record date started, date finished, rating, and sometimes a review, and there's some questions specifically about those things in a minute. In my spreadsheet, what else do I record in my spreadsheet? I record number of pages. So I like to know going into a month roughly how many pages I'm going to be reading that month, and then I like to be able to look back and see how many pages I've read in previous months, so I know what's achievable for me. But that's really the only thing I record in that spreadsheet. I do also use it. So the reason I do the spreadsheet is specifically for the channel, so that I've got something I can refer to for like my TBR videos and my monthly wrap-up videos. And as well as putting the star rating in that spreadsheet, I also rank the books as I go, so that when I get to the end of the month, I can just sort the spreadsheet. This really is very nerdy, isn't it? I can just sort the spreadsheet and immediately get the listings for my end of month wrap-up video. And on which note, I need to start thinking about filming my end of the month wrap-up video for February, because it's the 27th of February when this video will go out. Right, next question. So I've already spoiled this question. Do you give star ratings? So yes, I do give star ratings. I'm very old school. I give my ratings are 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5 stars. I don't do anything more than that. I don't do half stars. I don't do fractions of stars. I see people who give a book like 4.30% and things like that. No, just 1 through 5. And the way I think about star ratings is a 1-star rating. For me to give a book 1 star, I have to absolutely hate it, and I do not give books that I haven't finished a rating. I kind of don't think that's fair. So I tend not to. I will only be giving ratings to books I've finished. So for a book to be 1 star, A, I have to have finished it, and B, I have to have really hated it. And that combination of things doesn't happen very often, because if I'm disliking a book that much, I'll probably DNF it. So it ends up being a rating I give to books I've kind of hate read, because I've kind of been enjoying the experience of hating them, if that makes sense. 2 stars will be for books that I don't necessarily absolutely hate but really didn't enjoy at all. 3 stars is for books that are fine. You know, a 3-star rating for me isn't necessarily a bad rating. I can think of many books that I've enjoyed reading that were 3-star books. You know, they don't do anything out of the ordinary. They're just an enjoyable way to pass the time. A 4-star rating is for a book that is, you know, a book I really enjoyed. It may well be a book that does something a bit extra to lift it out of that 3-star rating in terms of, you know, having a particularly good plot, or, you know, but it doesn't need to do everything perfectly. It needs to do one thing very, very well and everything else competently, I guess, for me to give it a 4-star rating. And 5-star rating is for a book that's absolutely blown me away. And often I will give 5-star ratings to books that I would think that anybody would enjoy, you know, any reader would enjoy, even if they don't necessarily like that genre. So a 4-star rating, you know, I read a lot of genre fiction, obviously. A 4-star rating would be for a book that's, you know, a really good representation of that genre. But a 5-star rating often, well, I will give to books that I consider, you know, they kind of transcend that genre. I've talked so much that my iPad's locked itself, so I need to unlock it again. Right, question 4 then, do you review your books? So, yes and no. I used to try and always write a review of the books I'd finished on Goodreads, even just a short one, but I don't tend to do that anymore. I just don't have enough time to do it. I also used to do a lot of written reviews. I used to do like a couple of written reviews a week, either on my blog or on other blogs. I don't really do that anymore. I've tried running my blog, you know, in conjunction with doing the channel, but the channel takes up so much time that I don't really have time to do the written reviews anymore. So in terms of, you know, reviews then, at the moment on the channel I'm normally doing 2 like full reviews a week. So I consider, you know, so that's a video where I just talk solely about one book. So I normally do 2 of those a week. But clearly I read more than 2 books a week most weeks. So those other books will get talked about in a much briefer fashion in, you know, weekly wrap-ups and monthly wrap-ups and things like that. So I consider like a monthly wrap-up video to be a series of mini reviews kind of. Right, next question. Question 5. Where do you put your finished books? So kind of here. Actually, some of these ones I haven't read yet. So I've got this. Hold on. I'm going to move and just give you a bit of a glimpse. Oh, that's not going to work at all. Hold on, this is going to be really hugely unprofessional. I'm actually going to take this off the... I'm probably going to get motion sickness. Right, so I've got this like TBR cart here, which I use... It's a bit overflowing at the moment because I've had a lot of books very kindly sent to me by people. But I use that for on the top shelf for the books I'm going to be reading that month. So when I finish the book, I put it back on the shelf, and then when I get to the end of the month, I've got let me put you back up there. You're all okay? So when I get to the end of the month and need to film my monthly wrap-up video, I've got all the books I need to hand. And then what I try and do when I've then filmed that wrap-up video is put the books back on the shelf. So books come off the shelf, go on here to be read for that month, and then once I've read them, and film the wrap-up video, they go back on the shelves. That was probably a far more in-depth answer than anybody wanted, and I've made you feel motion sick as well. So go Ollie. Right, so that was that one. Question 6: how do you pick your next book? So obviously I set a monthly TBR, and I've talked about that on the channel before. So that kind of sets my reading for the month. I'm not averse to, you know, throwing additional things into that TBR. I've done that this month, you know, kind of during the month. Other things have come up. How do I pick books? I don't know. I should know, shouldn't I? It's a really simple question, and I'm struggling to answer it. So I have my TBR. What goes on to that TBR is determined by a number of different things. So there'll be some books on there that are books I'm reading for like buddy reads or group reads. So I do, you know, I have my birthday book club, so there'll be a book for that every month, and there'll be like I have my Patreon book club as well, and I do a Patreon buddy read every month. So there'll be things for that. There'll be things where I'm trying to or want to take part in BookTube events. So in March, for example, I've just filmed my my March video today, my March TBR, and I've got a book in there for March of the Mammoth. I've got a book in there for March Mystery Madness, and so on. So that will, kind of guide and shape what I'm going to be reading in a month. And also just, there's always space just for other things I fancy reading. So I've been setting myself this 50 books to read before I'm 50 challenge recently. I think when I finish that, I'm going to try and not set myself any big challenges for a while and just go with the flow a bit more. But in terms of, when I actually finish a book during the month and need to decide what to read next, it's purely down to mood. I have a fixed number of books that I can pick from in terms of my TBR for the month, but it will just be what I fancy, really. Right, question 7 then. Do you have any rituals when you've finished the book? No, I don't. I don't know what a ritual would be. It used to be that, so I suppose one thing I do, if I know I'm going to be reviewing a book on the channel, I will take notes, brief notes as I go through reading the book, and I may just tidy those notes up when I finish the book. And I will also, log that I finished it on Goodreads and log it on my spreadsheet as well. But aside from that, I don't have any particular bookish rituals. I don't put it on the floor and dance around it or anything like that. So that's the questions gone through. I hope you enjoyed those. I'm not going to tag anybody in this one because, as I say, loads of people have done it recently and it's quite an old tag anyway. But if you haven't done it and you're watching this and you fancy doing it, it'd be great to see your video. So yes, that's it. Okay, time for a random book from the shelves. Today's book is a book I rescued. So that book is A View from the Bridge by Arthur Miller. As you can see, this is a particularly knackered copy of A View from the Bridge. It's obviously had some sort of water damage. It's very creased. The pages are all dog-eared and torn. It's got all sorts of highlights and scribbles in it and things like that. So my son studied this at school, and this is his copy, which, given he finished studying it, he no longer needed. And I was like, I'll probably read that one day. So I grabbed it and chucked it on the shelves. So yeah, let me know if you've read A View from the Bridge, or seen it, indeed, as it is a play, and what it's like. Okay, I hope you found that interesting. Let me know what your answers would have been to the questions. I'm particularly interested to know if anybody's got any weird rituals that they do when they finish books. I'm still trying to figure out what they would be. But yeah, anyway, hope you enjoyed that. And as always, thanks very much for watching. Hope you're safe and well out there. Hope you're reading good stuff. And I'll speak to you again very soon. Cheerio.